Hello and welcome. Next up in our series of debates for the 2023 elections is the race for Ward 3 City Council in the city of Fitchburg, with incumbent City Councilor Andrew Kuchar and challenger Joseph Bowen. By virtue of a coin toss, Mr. Bowen will answer the question first. In this race where a challenger is facing the incumbent, as a challenger, what are the main reasons you feel change is needed in this position? And then when we get to Councilor Kuchar, as the incumbent, what are the main reasons you feel that you deserve another term? Mr. Bowen, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, one of the main reasons I decided to run is because residents continue to reach out to me personally about their problems. When I ask them if they've reached out to my opponent here, they say yes, but I haven't heard back, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. Folks, this is a problem. I can guarantee you as your counselor, your concerns are my concerns, because I live in the same neighborhoods as you. I drive down the same pothole-riddled roads with overgrown trees and blocked sidewalks like what we see on Westminster Hill Road, River Street, and Princeton Road. And it matters as much to me as it matters to you. That's who I'm here to represent. I'm here to represent you. I'm a person that gets things done. Your city councilor should be organizing, promoting, attending, participating, and engaging with residents at events. They should hold regular ward meetings, but more importantly, they should be engaging in meaningful conversations so you can be served in the manner expected. There are no limits to my advocacy for Ward 3. I'm going to work with the DPW and the department heads and the administration. I'm going to hear your concerns, and we are going to address those overgrown trees and blocked sidewalks. I'm going to advocate for every possible dollar of paving funds that I can get for our ward. I'm not going to promise it, but I can guarantee you this: I'll be at the table advocating for it relentlessly. And why? Because I have lived here for a long time, and I know the only way to improve Ward 3 is with action. And when we have a city councilor who isn't present and responsive, we cannot have action. You need to be present and responsive for that to occur, and we are not currently seeing that.
Councilor Kuchar, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. My opponent claims that I'm not accessible or approachable. That's simply not true. I put my cell phone number on the city website, unlike some who use Google Voice. I have a personal Facebook page, as well as the Andrew Kuchar Ward 3 City Councilor page. I've had constituents call my home phone, which I only use for emergency purposes only, as well as my law office phone. I've had calls coming in from my law office from constituents. The claim that I'm unreachable is a flat-out lie. Now, I've had numerous calls. I fielded countless calls and emails regards to potholes, brush trimming, flooding issues, requests for streetlights, electrical pole issues. One was rotted at the base and was dangling by the wires, which, let's face it, was an extreme issue for safety concerns. Now, there are some people whose requests were not ascertainable. People going too fast on neighborhood streets. I called the police traffic unit. They were aware of the issue, but they were limited on what they could do. They were aware of, there are some residents who are upset because I couldn't place a crosswalk where they wanted. Where many people aren't aware that there are DOT regulations that establish where a city can put a crosswalk. It's not just simply planting lines in the road. When I was first elected in 2019 and sworn in January of 2020, 2 months later, the earth shut down and stayed shut down for almost 2 years. My constituent outreach was extremely hindered as a result. When the world opened up, I started having ward meetings. But the former Ward 3 councilor, Mr. Joel Caddy, explained to me early on that he's tried to have them in the past. And lo and behold, he was correct. Nobody showed up.
Okay, we're going to open it up for a 5-minute discussion. If anyone has anything else they'd like to say on why we either need change in this position or why we should continue on with the current representation.
I would like to ask a question. Why do you think no one showed up?
Well, it was advertised with the at the city council meeting. It was advertised on Facebook. It was, distributed. Information was distributed to the residents. The last time I had a Ward 3 meeting, 2 people showed up, Joe. And guess what? You weren't one of those 2 people.
You're right, because I don't remember seeing it
or
hearing about it.
They were there. In fact, I know the 2 constituents that showed up. they're heavy supporters of mine. And they came, we had a, excuse me, a discussion with the DPW commissioner. We sat there for about an hour and a half. Nobody else showed up. And Joel Caddy warned me about that, because when I initially ran, when we crossed swords, and I eventually, won that election, he warned me, because that was one of my campaign promises, that I would have a Ward 3, not knowing that in a few months' time, the whole world would shut down. Weren't able to have Ward 3 meetings, but when the world opened up, and we were able to, I advertised, I talked to people about it, I put it out there, put it in the city council special announcements. Nobody showed.
Well, clearly there is some flaw in your ability to advertise for your event. And as city councilor, I will explore and try numerous different avenues, some that may be innovative, haven't been tried before, and I would continue down the same paths of advertising for the different meetings. The thing is, folks, is in order to build attendance to anything, you need to do it consistently and regularly, so that eventually people will catch on that, oh, the city councilor is doing something great. You need to go down, you're going to learn something about this. There's this new issue going on in the ward, and we're going to discuss it. You should come down. Word will spread if you can build an agenda that's compelling and interesting to residents. I guarantee you can bring people in.
Is that like when you used the residents meeting about the Oak Hill Country Club solar project, where residents set up a meeting at the church, and you used your campaign email in order to facilitate this and hijack this entire meeting that ward residents set up, not you, Joe. You took that meeting and you tried to make it your own, taking a political leaning on an issue that people are very, very frightened of. So you took a meeting that residents set up on their own, which I was in attendance. I held my own meeting at El Toros, and people attended my meeting. People attended the meeting of the residents that set up the event. But you tried to turn it into a campaign issue, which ultimately should not be a campaign issue. This is an issue for the ward residents. It's not something to score political points. It's not something to score votes. This is an issue that people are passionate about, that people are scared that their property values are going to go down. And you took advantage of these ward residents by using your campaign email to RSVP to this event. People knew about the event. They didn't have to RSVP. I didn't RSVP. I was invited by ward residents, because this is an issue that is strong with these voters and non-voters. People are scared, and they wanted to have answers. And what did this current administration, as well as myself, bring? But the answers that these people were looking for.
Do I get a chance to respond?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So first of all, the meeting that was held at the Madonna Church, that was organized by the residents. You are correct. They came to me seeking guidance on how to construct a meeting. This is what I do in the city of Fitchburg today with the Community Steward program. I teach people how to organize events for whatever cause that they're interested in. We could have the venue available and with enough chairs for people to show up.
And you also took that.
Okay, we're up on 5 minutes on this, but
Yeah.
we're going to ask a question on solar, and we can get back to this.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next question goes to Councilor Kuchar.
Thank you.
Road conditions continue to be a thorn in the side of city voters. The state has shown no willingness to increase Chapter 90 funds, and we have no control over that in the city. As a way to create a new revenue stream for roads, Would you vote for a property tax increase via a debt exclusion, which would target homeowners? Or would you vote for a special fee tied to cars registered in the city, which would apply to all who live and drive in the city, as Councilor Boschman proposed? And if you would not vote for either of these revenue streams, please tell us what creative ideas you have to increase funding or cuts you would make elsewhere in the budget to help improve road conditions.
Thank you for that question. And yes, the roads are a subject of great concern for everybody. But there's not a whole lot that we're going to be able to do about it. Right now, the city has about, over the past 12 years, only about $1 million, a little over $1 million has been subject to our roads from the Commonwealth. Now, recently, we were able to get more money from the Commonwealth, thanks to Kuzmarek, who was able, Representative Kuzmarek, who was able to get us extra money this year. And I hope that continues. Now, we are doing a lot of work on the roads. People say, but you know what? Unfortunately, we have a history of poor roads in Fitchburg due to the topography, as well as the excess of water in the area. This, plus a serious mismanagement of infrastructure from a prior administration, has caused the city to far beyond where we should be. Now, there's only a few things that we can do. Now, a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but we may need to, increase the property taxes in order to be able to fix the roads if people actually want that. But I don't think that should be a city council vote. I think that should be a vote of the general public. Put it on the ballot. Do you want your taxes increased so we can fix the roads? Now, there's been a lot of talk in regards to this election, in regards to what is going to be happening. But we have a plan. Right now, we're working on a 3-year paving plan. Currently slated is Clarendon Street with Franklin Road. That's in the fall of 2023, as well as Game On Way, West Street, with the combined sewer separation program. There's also many things to come in the spring of 2024.
Okay, and just for clarification, yes, that's what I meant. As a city councilor, would you vote to put that debt exclusion on the ballot? That
Yes,
would be
I
a
would.
vote of the city council.
Just to answer your question, yes, I will.
Okay. Mr. Bowen,
the question
2
is mine.
minutes.
So, folks, I drive these roads. They are a disgrace. We have to do something about it besides wait for the state to give us more money. We only get $1.2 million of Chapter 90 funds to repave 187 miles of roads. Our roads deteriorate faster than we can repave them. At best, we can only count on paving a little more than a mile of road per year. As costs continue to rise and funding stays flat, the length of road we can repave shrinks. I have been advocating for the city to start funding a line item in the budget for paving for years. If we can't find a way to help ourselves, we'll never get out of this deplorable road situation. Starting with a small amount for road repaving, it can be built upon over time as we become accustomed to using these funds for their intended purposes. Efforts to put free cash into road paving projects should always be a priority. We have a lot of crumbling rural roads like Sheldon, McIntyre, and Westminster Hill Road, as well as crumbling, congested downtown streets like West and Arlington Streets. If elected, I will advocate for as much of the available road paving funds as possible. Roads will always be my priority. And to answer the question, I would vote to put it out to the voters for a debt exclusion.
Okay. At all?
That's it.
All right.
Yep.
Open it up for 5 minutes of general discussion if anyone else has anything to say on it.
Yeah, so Joe, you would say that you would use free cash in order to be able to fund the roads? Is that accurate?
No, I don't use free cash, Andrew. The mayor is in charge of the budget and where
Well,
we spend
you would-
money.
you would advocate.
I advocate for the use of those funds towards roads.
Now, do you know what free cash is?
I do.
Okay, what is it?
Free cash is the money that the city receives, we'll say unexpectedly. So additional funds become available because maybe things didn't cost as much as we thought they would, but we budgeted the funds, it becomes free cash.
So you would use free cash that we're not guaranteed to get in order to put a line item in. That would be the equivalent of somebody having back due bills that they have to pay and also needing a new roof put on their property. And guess what? You just won a $5,000 scratch ticket. Wonderful, great. What are you going to use it for? Okay, I'm going to get caught up on my bills. But you know what? Next year when I win that $5,000, I'm going to put that $5,000 to the roof. It's not guaranteed money, Joe. You can't put a line item in like that. You know, the idea of using money that we're not guaranteed into a line item to say, oh, this is going to go to the roads. That's not going to work, Joe. It's just not going to work.
So it was a great deflection to the answer to my question, or to the answer to the question of what would I do. I said create a line item. I did not say put free cash into a line item in the budget. Did not say that at all. What I said was we need to find money to put into that line item. We start small and we build upon it. And your next question is going to be, what would you cut? Am I right? Well,
where would you find the money?
Well, where would you find the money?
Are you going to cut from the library?
I'd love to answer the question.
Go right ahead, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
I'd love to hear the answer.
I would work with the administration to advocate for them to look at the city's operations, look for inefficiencies in process, or maybe there could be components, different department heads or departments are doing the same functions, that they could collaborate and do them together to potentially save labor dollars or save costs on those functions, whatever they may be, that are inefficient. And those funds that are saved can be moved into a line item for paving.
So you are aware that the budget is 96% mandatory. The schools are over 50%. Our debt services, you can't touch those. Our pensions, you can't touch those. You know, insurance, you can't touch those either. So you're going to have to try to cut from the police, the fire, the DPW, which is already in need. We just discussed the roads.
I have not talked about any cuts in this entire conversation.
Well, then where are you going to find the money? You're going to say we're going to find money out of the budget in order to be able to fund the roads.
Right.
But you have no idea where this money's coming from.
So you're missing the point in fixing the way we operate departments in the city.
Now, are you aware of what's upcoming for the current paving plan?
No.
Okay. Well, let
just
me
what you said
give
today
you.
is the most I've ever heard.
Let me give you a little bit of information right now.
You're still
so we have a
deflecting.
3-year
You're still
paving
deflecting.
plan. Currently slated is Clarendon Street and Franklin Road. This is fall of 2023. Game on Way, West Street, with the combined sewer separation program. In spring of 2024, here's the list: Arlington, Goddard, Crescent Heights, Bond, Prince, School Street, Chestnut, Park Street, Caldwell, Main Street from house number 1107 to Ashburn Hill Road, View Street, and that's all outside of the Chapter 90 funding. We've also, you might not know this, we've also been accepted to the Mass DOT, from the Mass DOT, to the municipal paving program, which will pave state roads such as Princeton Road, which is Route 31, Ashburnham Street, Route 12, Westminster Street, Route 2A. All major entry points to the city which come through Ward 3.
Okay, let's give him a chance to respond.
So all I can really say is that we're still avoiding my point, which is that we're finding money by building efficiencies in how we operate the city. That is how we build and take care of ourselves.
But where are the inefficiencies?
Those need to be discovered, and that's up to the mayor and his or her administration to take care of that.
I have the budget right here. Would you like to look at it?
That doesn't talk about process and procedure and where we're doing things that we could be doing better to save more money.
Okay, we have run out of time on this topic. We're going to go to question 3, and as promised, we will go back to one of the biggest issues currently in Ward 3, which is the proposed solar farm on land owned by Oak Hill Country Club. What is your position on this? What have you done, and what do you plan to do in advocacy of your position? Mr. Bowen.
Well, first of all, I'm against the project. I'm 100% with the residents on this. There is no benefit for Fitchburg and none for the residents. Oak Hill Country Club has proposed to lease their approximately 46 acres of forested property off of Shea Street to a company in California of a similar name for the purposes of constructing a nearly 14,000 panel solar farm requiring deforestation of about 25 acres of trees on a 70-foot hillside off Shea Street that will face a neighborhood of over 120 homes. This changes their view from a peaceful forest to a 70-foot high sea of industrial-sized solar panels. Not only that, residents are concerned about flooding from the deforestation efforts in a neighborhood that is already plagued with flooding during heavy rainstorms. You may recall a photo of someone kayaking on Shea Street after one of the storms in July. They feel the flooding could get exponentially worse. It should come as no surprise that residents are against the project, and I've been working with some resident leaders to help them organize together to fight for the proper outcome of the request, from an outright rejection of the proposal to developing a list of concessions that will satisfy residents in the event this project has legal grounds to move forward. I am honored to have been trusted by these residents to assist with organizing their efforts. I would do this for any neighborhood in Fitchburg. If residents oppose a project, I oppose a project. My pledge continues to be the voice of the people of Ward 3.
Councilor Kuchar.
Thank you very much. You know, there's been an increase in solar projects here in Ward 3, specifically Mad River Solar, which is off of Stickney Road, which was an absolute disaster in regards to the tree cutting. And, you know, I spoke out against it. I speak out against this, too, because it's going to be another failed solar where they're cutting down the forests in order to be able to provide green energy. Now, we have to play this one smart, people. We can't just say, oh, this is bad for the neighborhood. Of course it's bad for the neighborhood. We all know that it's bad for the neighborhood. It's going to increase flooding. It's going to be an eyesore to the local residents. But we have to use the information that we have at our disposal in order to keep in order to stop this project. Now, Planning Board may grant special permits for large-scale ground-mounted solar facilities after it makes proposed findings. Now, according to 181.6683, the proposed project does not create adverse visual impact from publicly accessible locations. This hits right on point here, people. In addition, visual intrusions have been satisfactorily mitigated by controlling the visibility from the area from public ways, premises and residentially used or zoned areas. Again, this is an area, it's filled with residents. There's no way they're going to be able to escape this. We also have to think about the flooding issue as well. You know, as a member of the emergency management, during some of the heavy rainstorms that we had in July and August, I was there personally in my tundra, addressing the concerns, being there, not sitting at home with a cup of coffee, looking out the window, watching the rain fall. I was there. I was addressing flooding concerns. I was present.
30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the solar array that we're talking about here at Oak Hill Country Club. You know, the residents that I had counseled on organizing their meeting, they understood the need for proper notice and convenient timing and location. Further, they came to understand that creating resident dialogue and building action items to craft a united statement would be the best way to make an impact since that meeting, residents are empowered. They've formed a Facebook group, an email list to keep each other informed of happenings, and to share how they can continue to help each other achieve the right outcomes for this project.
Thank you. 30-second rebuttal.
Thank you very much. Actually, I was at that meeting and I proposed the Facebook group, Joe. I was the one that was there providing the information in order to be able to provide the residents with the correct information in order to be able to access the arguments that are needed in order to kill this project. This is going to be a project that's bad for the entire neighborhood. And yes, a united voice should be heard, but what we need is somebody with the legal knowledge and the ability to be able to help these residents.
Time's up. Councilor, Mr. Bowen,
yes.
Closing statement, 3 minutes.
Ooh. All right. Well, thank you FATV and Flap TV for hosting, and my opponent for joining tonight's debate. Forums like this help us to inform voters about their choices on Election Day. I am Joe Bowen. I'm a longtime resident of Ward 3. I chose to run for Ward 3 City Councilor because I am already doing the job. Several residents that are unhappy with the performance of our current councilor are calling me for help. My commitments to the residents of Ward 3 are to be responsive, not just during an election year, but every single day. I will be there to represent the voice of the residents. I'd like to talk about petitions for a moment. Our current councilor has not submitted a single petition on his own in 2020, in 2021, and in 2022. In 2023, his very first petition he submitted happened after I after I challenged him to run for office. And since then, he has been consistently posting petitions on behalf of residents. So how am I going to accomplish these important tasks? I'll answer your calls or respond to your emails. I'll meet you in your neighborhood to get firsthand understanding of issues like speeding or overgrown shoulders like what we see on Franklin Road. I stand out as a leader when it comes to organizing communities. Recently, as I've already stated, with the residents of Shea Street, we organized a meeting for the proposed solar farm. I did that with sufficient notice and a convenient time so that over 70 residents were able to attend and share their thoughts and ideas on how to deal with the project. This is what I do. I am highly experienced in business and community leadership, having served in these roles for over 20 years. When it comes to roads, I will be your relentless advocate, seeking as much of the Chapter 90 funds as possible so that attention can be paid to poorly maintained roads, such as Westminster Hill Road and many of the streets in downtown neighborhoods affected by the road construction detour. I will work with city leadership to attract businesses and activate public spaces like Gateway Park. A community can grow when it can offer jobs and affordable housing for families. With the right amount of interest and support from the residents, we can attract events using grants and other sponsorships. Please visit my website at electjoebowen.com or contact me directly via text, phone, email, or simply tap me on the shoulder at any of the numerous events I attend around the city. My phone number is 978-868-3772, and my email address is joe@electjoebowen.com. There was one petition actually I was waiting for. I meant to bring this up earlier. The asphalt recycling machine that was brought up in the 2019 debate. We never saw anything. Anyway, it's time for you to go with Joe. Remember, I'm always doing the job. Together, let's make it official on November 7th.
Councilor Kuchar.
Thank you very much. Now, my opponent wants to say that I've not been around. I have been around. Now, not every issue that needs to be addressed needs to be a petition. You don't need to have a petition in order to fill a pothole. You don't need a petition in order to be able to fix a berm or to establish, to fix an issue in regards to the ward. It's not always necessary. You know, my first 2 years was challenging. I'm not going to say that it wasn't, because basically the earth shut down. And I was still in my learning phase in regards to being a city councilor. Now, I have put in petitions. I put in petitions well before that. Now, my opponent wants to say that I haven't been an active member of the ward. Well, that is flat out wrong. The reason being, well, last year I got a group of volunteers together and we were able to revamp the Stanley Park gazebo, which is in complete disarray. But not only did we fix the problem, but we also repainted it. And now I'm actively working on getting Stanley Park to be a viable park in this city. Now, I've been around and at many events. In fact, I also hosted my event, which my opponent thanked me for doing. It was at the Ward 3 West Fitchburg Road Race. And that was slated to die. And I refuse to have the oldest road race in Worcester County just die at a moment's notice. I picked up the pieces and I ran with it. Now, Mr. Bowen wants to say that, well, I've already been doing the job. I haven't seen him at any city council events. I haven't seen him at any city council meetings. And he also admitted he did not go to any of my Ward 3 meetings. He was unavailable at the time. Now, if you want to reach me, you can reach me on my city email, akuture, that's C-O-U-T-U-R-E, at fitchburgma.gov. You can reach me at my cell phone number, 978-503-2237. You can also call me at my law office, 978-502-0221, or you can just reach me. I am available. I am around all the time. You see me in Market Basket, approach me. This is my issue, and I will address it. Thank you.
And that concludes this debate. Voting is on November 7th. Early voting begins on October 28th. Thank you to the candidates. Goodbye.